Hey everyone, this is Music Tech Help Guy, and welcome to part 21 of my Music Theory for Producers course. In this video, I want to explain as quickly as possible all of the naturally occurring seventh chords within major keys. We previously talked about the dominant seventh chord and how it's basically a major triad with a minor seventh stacked on top of it, which is why they're also referred to as major-minor seventh chords. We also said that dominant seventh chords naturally occur on the 5 chord in major keys. However, there are 3 other types of seventh chords that naturally exist in major keys that I want to show you today. So first I'll start by stacking diatonic thirds, fifths, and sevenths above each note of a C major scale in order to see all of the naturally occurring seventh chords in C major. Again, no alterations are needed here. So when you label these seventh chords, it's going to look something like this. I'm not adding the sevenths to the Roman numerals just because I don't think it's really necessary for modern music production. The Roman numerals here are just as a reference to the original triads. Also note that for most of the chords, there's 2 different ways to notate the chord symbols. Well, honestly, there's many different ways to notate the chord symbols, but these are just the most common variations that I've seen. I personally prefer the top row of symbols. So let's get into these. The 1 and 4 chords are major seventh chords. These can be notated with a capital M and a 7, or an MAJ and a 7. The 2, 3, and 6 chords are all minor seventh chords. These can be notated with a lowercase m and a 7, or a dash or a line, and a 7. The 5 chord is a dominant or major-minor seventh chord, just like we talked about in the last video. And the 7 chord is called a half-diminished seventh chord. That's what the slash in the diminished symbol means, half-diminished. There's also a fully diminished seventh chord that we'll talk about in a later video that doesn't have the slash. So let me go over the structure of the 4 seventh chords that we see here in major keys. A major seventh chord is a major triad with a major seventh on top. That means that the distance from the bottom note to the top note is 11 semitones. A dominant seventh chord, which we talked about before, starts with a major triad as well, but they have a minor seventh on top. So that means the distance from the bottom note to the top note is 10 semitones. A minor seventh chord is a minor triad with a minor seventh. So again, there's 10 semitones from bottom to top. And finally, the half-diminished seventh chord is a diminished triad with a minor seventh. So again, 10 semitones between bottom and top. Like I said before, there's also a fully diminished seventh chord with a diminished triad and a diminished seventh, but we're not going to worry about that one for now because it doesn't naturally exist in major keys unless we start altering notes. We'll come back to that one later. So how can seventh chords be used in a composition? Well, it's actually quite simple. Anything that you can compose with just triads, you can add sevenths to juice up the harmony, so to speak. Let me show you an example of a piano example with just triads and a melody, and then I'll make each triad its respective seventh chord, and you'll see how the piece sounds more interesting and harmonically dense with the seventh chords. All right, so these are the naturally occurring 7th chords in major keys. In the next video, we'll get into 7th chords in minor keys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and thanks for watching.